Yo, sushi was good, bro. I'm still good. You just woke up. But girl, take your time doing anything, baby. Where's she not from? I'm still sleepy as shit. I was really debating on like playing the game or taking a nap. I ran some errands. Yo, I was like, just let me go to this grocery store. I definitely do that. But I needed a Mizu, yes sir, back in the studio. I needed underwear, so I was like, I can go grocery shopping and like pick up a pack of underwear. Then I got the fucking Walmart. They ain't got no goddamn meat. I mean, no, yo, the entire meat section was. It's not. It's not. No. Yeah, it's not. It's not the first time, but I was like, damn. Now I was like, well, I gotta go to a different store for me. So now I was like, you know what? Fuck, it's too hot out here. The trap, there's too much people out today. I just got what I got from Walmart and brought my ass the fuck home. And then, like I said, I was about to get on it. Oh, you said what? No, a couple people already hit me up actually. We're cookout at. Yeah, I don't fuck with people around here like that, bro. You know, cookouts. I didn't even fucking get invited to no cookouts, and I definitely didn't invite nobody over here to the cookout, so I'm good with it. I got them, like I said, I was about to play the game and shit, but then I was like, let me just get another couple hours in the studio real quick. Yeah, yeah. I'm fighting through my sleep today because I want to get some shit done, some more painting. I got almost everything done around the house, so tomorrow I gotta do shit. Hmm. Yeah, figure something out later. I was in such a rush to get my ass back in the house just now. Like, no thank you. And I drove the truck too, so man, that bitch so damn hot right now. Shit. Yeah. Alright, actually I'm in the studio and I'm streaming. Yeah, I'll chat with you later. hot everywhere today. Like I said, man, I was about to play the game. Uh, I feel sleepy enough to take a nap. I was like, should I go to sleep? Should I play the game? And what the fuck should I do? I was like, man, let me just see if I can go paint for a little bit longer. Get like another hour or two in. Ain't nothing wrong with that, right? But I've been yawning. Oh man, I've been yawning for like the past hour. Yo, it's crazy how Walmart looked just now, bro. I haven't bought underwear in fucking years. So I was like, let me go shopping and grab a new pack of underwear. Yeah, for some reason, Walmart has fucking. Yeah, this looks crazy. Might have me I might have a print sale. Somebody been asking me for prints lately. So I told them how much they cost. Everybody wanna have a conversation until that price hit. My prints, man, my prints ain't nothing but a little $60, bro. $60 for a signed print. Come on, man. How you gonna beat that? $60 for one of my prints. I know some people, man, they sell their prints twice as much as my shit. They be wanting $120 for their prints, bro. $120? The one print that I bought from my man Floyd Strickland, he out of California. I paid like $140 for his shit. His print's nice as hell though, you know what I'm saying? But my prints, they nice too, so I got good prints. I got a good printmaker. But I ain't never charged nobody $120 for no print. So I seem like $60 is a fair price for right now. For the 150, nah, his prints are nice. My prints are nice too. I got high quality prints, bro. You don't see no pixelation or none of that shit. And the paper is really good. Thick paper. Yeah, $60 for one of these. I'll mail it right to your doorstep. Really what you're paying for is the signature. Because honestly, anybody can just go online and print anybody's art off and make their own poster if they really wanted to. Copyright infringement, but you'll have it. But you'll know for a fact it ain't come from me. And it don't got my signature on it, which doesn't authenticate it. So that's all you really paying for is the signature. You want the official, you want to make your own bootleg print, or you want the official thing from me? You don't got the original file. That shit get janky. The more you copy over and over, you lose quality. I was even playing around with like the little mixer machine on here, where you can do like the little DJ effects. It's not great, but you can make it work if you want to. All right, so we got some. I don't know if this is lamp black or ivory black. Ivory. We got some ivory black, some Prussian blue, some cerulean blue hue, and some titanium white. We're gonna use these four colors to try to tighten up the fabric. See if we can bring that part of the painting to a close. We'll wrap that thing up 100%. Um, hey yo. Yo, hey yo. What the hell? Yo, why all my homies are sending me mad ass memes right now? Yeah.
Talking about the plight of the bees. Narrator goes on to say that if all the bees on the planet died, then the birds would be next. And us, and my boy is like, we gotta save the bees. Then the narrator goes on to say, the European bees are much more kinder, gentler bee, as opposed to the Africanized bee, which is a much more aggressive, hostile bee. She's gonna try to sneak racism into the market. Like you're.
All right. See if we can do an Insta live. I haven't been on Midjourney in a couple of days. I think I should go on here just to see. Yeah. It's going to sign in. It'll sign you out if you don't log in every day. Plus my computer just rebooted. Week by week. Week by week, bro. This shit be getting too crazy. Oh my god, dog. Yeah. Who uses Midjourney? Any of you guys use Midjourney? No. Hold on. I'm trying to get this camera to stay right here real quick. Yeah. Yo, Midjourney is a beast. I'm telling you, bro, marketing and advertisement, yo, this shit is changing the fucking game. Anyway, I do that when I log on to Midjourney, just to help the community out a little bit. If you rate images, so everybody, you know, makes their own prompts or whatever, and then Midjourney asks the community um, which image follows the prompt the best. Which one did it the best? And then everybody gets to vote on it, and then that helps to train the algorithm on what we're actually looking for and what looks more believable and what doesn't. So if you get a few million people to do that a few times a day, the images are starting to get really, really good, especially the hands. I feel it's going to homogenize the field of image making. Only the most talented will make the best of its capabilities, and that's all it is, bro. Is how creative can you be with the new tool? It's a tool. That's all it is. Everybody has access to it. Everybody can learn to use it. Who does it the best? Oh, you do it. You do it the best. That means you can actually do the job of 10 people now. You can do the job of 10 people. And you can do it very simple and easy with one or two programs. You use Midjourney, and then you can have something like uh, Photoshop. You can add something like if you have Photoshop or Lightroom, even Procreate. You can do a lot of manipulation in Procreate. So there are several different ways you can take these images and enhance them even further. But like the stuff that it's making already is just amazing. It's literally so good now, and I really do think this will change a lot of how advertisement is done. If you're advertising for a garden supply or something like that, do you really have to go out to some really nice, beautiful garden and take an hour or so trying to photograph this thing, or can you just prompt the AI to be like, "Yo, give me a picture of a garden, a beautiful garden with uh, very uh, distinctive trimmed hedges of blah 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 blah." And instead of packing all your camera equipment, getting in the car, driving through traffic, however long it takes to get to the place, and then unpacking your equipment, making sure you have all the lenses and the lighting is right, and this and that, photographing, going back at, oh man, look, I can just let the computer do this shit for me, man. I'll just let the computer do the shit. Easy peasy.
Nice news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's some of the good things that have happened recently. Scientists have figured out a way to make an algae-based plastic that decomposes more completely than current plastics. The NCAA has agreed to pay a $2.8 billion settlement to a class action antitrust lawsuit. Colleges would be able to pay college athletes for the first time ever. Stem cell research has led to a breakthrough in Shanghai, curing a 59-year-old man of type 2 diabetes, which he had suffered from for 25 years. Obviously, more research needs to be done, but it seems promising. The world's largest CO2 vacuum has been turned on in Iceland, sucking 36,000 tons of carbon out of the air every year, which is kind of a drop in the bucket, but I'll take it. And TikTok has partnered with the UK's National Literacy Trust to put actual bookshelves in 20 disadvantaged communities. This comes after the NLT released research showing that only 1 in 12 children aged 5 to 18 in the UK own a book. Let me know if you own at least one book, and follow me if you give a care.
I own a lot of books.
News. I'm your host.
I'm mad I can't find the one book I was looking for earlier. Still frustrated about that. motherfucker shocked the shit out of his damn self. He was like, how the fuck did I just do that? Alright, see, that's how I get stuck on that shit, man. Let me turn that shit off. 35 minutes later, you looking stupid at this goddamn app. Let's see what we about to do. I need to drop it low. Drop it low. Alright, scooch. Julian, what up, man? Wizards of the Coast were a lot of for using AI art and some of the D&D product for Dungeons and Dragons. But man, even gaming studios, you already know that everybody's gonna use this shit. I don't even see why people get mad over this. Probably, I feel it's gonna Hello, how are you been today? My name is Julian Beltran. Wizard of the Coast. I'm 22 years old and I'm from California, in Baja California. I'm a new subscriber. Okay, appreciate it, Julian. You ain't no cop, is it? We've been getting a lot of police officers coming here lately. YouTube. This stream is for entertainment purposes only. For entertainment purposes only. I do not have a degree or certifications in any field, and I do not give out any advice, whether it be political, medical, scientific, religious, financial, or otherwise. You know why? Because I have no clue as to what I am talking about. I just do this for fun and entertainment only. So if you ever think anything I say may be true, I always advise you to go figure things out for yourself, because most of the time I'm wrong. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, because this is for entertainment purposes only. You ain't no cop though, is it? You a police officer? Julie from California. The new subscriber, Julian. Don't go away now. That shit just got weird, huh? That's how I know he gonna unsubscribe. Watch. Don't get nervous now, man. Where you went, Julian? You making so many decent comments just now. I need more of those comments to boost my views up, man. He told me how old he is and where he from. I appreciate that. All right, let's see if we can just do a little bit, whatever that means. You know what I'm saying? See if we can do a little something. Now, what brushes I'm gonna need? Okay. I'm gonna need this brush and this brush too, and probably one of these brushes here, and that's gonna help me get through. All right. think I scared him away, guys. I ain't meant to. Alright, probably paint for about an hour, and then I'm getting on some Helldivers. Bro, your sound is loud as shit. I had to turn my drone almost all the way down just now.
Hi guys, it's Quinn here. If you appreciate my content, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm notices me. This video will contain spoilers for Netflix's Three Body Problem. Three Body Problem just released on Netflix. It is of course based on the book series The Remembrance of Earth's Past by Liu Cixin. And yes, I mean based on the series, because the first season doesn't just cover the first book in the series, The Three Body Problem. It moves into the second book, The Dark Forest, and even has scenes from the third book, Death's End. It shows that they are thinking about this as a series, and they have every plan to continue the show. In fact, season 2 is already in the works from what I hear. They have the task of establishing the essence of the entire series, not just the first book. Now you guys know that I'm a huge fan of the book series. I have done several videos covering it on this channel. I definitely was apprehensive about this show because I'm a big George R. R. Martin fan, huge fan of the A Song of Ice and Fire books, and I didn't really enjoy what the creators of its adaptation.
R.R. Martin, Ice and Fire. If y'all guys don't know, that the adaptation of Ice and Fire is the Game of Thrones. But the original series were called, The Songs of Ice and Fire. So, but I've never heard of this right here, the Three Body Problem by Xing Liu. And probably because they're a Asian writer. I don't know. Have I been limiting myself to different people's storytelling? I think so, because after I watched Squid Games, I started watching a lot of fucking Korean TV shows. And everybody makes dope ass content. I hate the fact that more shit isn't brought to the States, but we export a lot of our entertainment, and everybody know our shit, but we don't know like that they make dope ass movies and shit too, yo.
Game of Thrones did with the last several seasons of that show. When I heard that they were the ones doing the Three Body Problem, I was nervous to say the least. But I was willing to give it a chance. This series, unlike The Song of Ice and Fire, is finished. So, what did I think of this show? Is it a good show? Is it worth the watch? I would have to say it is definitely worth the watch, unequivocally so. It's absolutely worth the watch. It's good science fiction, but how does it work as an adaptation of the book? Well, let's get into this. One of the major criticisms of Lushishin's series is the flatness of the characters. It's a high-concept science fiction book series. The characters are not the focus, like really at all. I think the creators of the show were aware of this criticism, and I think they did a good job of remedying it. Now, I would say that the story in the Netflix show is actually very close to the book so far. It absolutely lives within the essence of the novel and even improves upon certain aspects in the book. The nature of the three-body problem game, for instance, it makes a lot more sense in the show than it does in the book. It makes a lot more sense that the game would be this advanced sensory technology rather than what is essentially a VR headset and a VR suit in the book. I can pretty comfortably say that almost every major beat from the books is present in the show. You have the message from the Trisolarans, the San Ti as they're called in this, and that is not a change in name as some people have been saying. The San Ti is actually what they are called in the original Chinese version of the book. The translated version is the version that uses the name Trisolaran, so San Ti is actually more accurate. They also get into the Wallfacer project, they get into the Staircase project, they get into planetary defense, aka the Space Force, it's subtly mentioned. They get into cryonics, they get into sophons, they get into the interdimensionality of the universe, they get into nanotechnology, and it plays the same role that it does in the book. They get into Tianming's fairy tales, their setup. They get into the Dark Forest hypothesis and deterrence game theory. They're both subtly brushed upon even, for those that are paying attention. It's all there. I've seen certain people say that the story is unrecognizable. Well, it might be unrecognizable if you've only read the first book. But those of you that have read the entire series, you know that they are setting up various aspects that occurred later in the series relatively accurately. Where the differences start to occur is the characters. Many of the characters from all three books are broken down into several new characters. So any rumors about gender swapping or race swapping aren't exactly true because they're mostly new characters. The thing is, the original book is written in Chinese, and almost all of the characters are Chinese. It is from a Chinese perspective. This is the Western adaptation. There was a Chinese adaptation that was released last year that only covered the first book. But this is the Western adaptation, and changes were expected, and that was never any secret. Also, this story isn't about the characters necessarily, it's about humanity as a whole. So how significant are these character changes really? Let's get into it. The character Wang from the first book has been broken down into three different characters. You have Jack, Jin Cheng, and Augustina. Wang completely disappears and is never mentioned again after the first book. So this change kind of makes sense, considering that these characters will continue on in the series, except for Jack, of course, and these characters will adopt certain characteristics of other book characters. And then there's Da Shi, who is basically intact, but he is not Chinese by nationality in this. He is British by nationality. And then we have Ya Wenjing, who is very similar to her book counterpart. Her backstory is almost identical, with some changes here and there, but we'll get into those a little bit later. And then there's Mike Evans. He is basically the same as he is in the book, with some minor changes. And then we have Thomas Wade, who I found to be awesome in this show. A great adaptation from the book counterpart. Thomas Wade is the man that gets stuff done, and for him the ends justify the means. And then we also have Jin Cheng, who I mentioned earlier as having characteristics of Wang, but she is mostly Shang Xin. In fact, their names are one letter off. You have Shang Xin from the books and Shang Jin in the series, and she's perhaps a bit of AA as well. If you've only read the first book, again in the series, you might not have recognized Jin as one of the central characters in this series. She's absolutely Shang Xin. Will is quite obviously Tianming, and his connection to Jin is fully explored and expanded on, and it is very close to the book counterparts. And as I said, for book readers, Tianming/Will's fairy tales are also set up. We see multiple times that he is reading books of fairy tales, and we see the image of paper boats floating on water multiple times as well. These are things that only people that have read the later books will recognize. And that's along with Will/Tianming's cancer, his purchasing of a star through the Star of Their Destination project, his cooperation with the Staircase program, which, like in the book, was led by Thomas Wade and worked on by Shang Xin/Jin. All of it, from the removal of his brain to the seeds being sent, was from the books. It is very close, narratively speaking. I also predict that Augustina, who has many characteristics of Wang, including being a nanotech scientist and including seeing the countdown, will be given more characteristics of Shang Xin and AA as well. There was something about the interactions between Jin and Augustina that reminded me of the interactions between AA and Shang Xin in the books. And Raj, to me, seems almost certainly to be Zhang Beihai. He has not fully blossomed into the character yet, but it seems pretty clear that that is what they are setting up, that he will definitely fill the role of that character. And then we have Saul Duran, who has adopted the role held by Luo Ji in the books. The show moves past the first book, and Saul develops into basically Luo Ji from the books. We see his assassination attempts, we see a version of his conversation with Ya Wenji, which is one of the most crucial scenes in the entire series. We see that he is elected as a wall facer, and like his book counterpart, he rejects his role, or attempts to. All of the major story elements are set up. All of these new characters are different from the book versions, but they fulfill the roles of the book counterparts pretty well in my opinion. The characters are interconnected. Emotionally, you relate to them more than the characters in the book. Their interpersonal relationships don't feel phoned in, and their individual storylines never feel drawn out or tedious, and always work to further the narratives. Just think about it. In the hours of content that I've made on the Three Body Problem series that you may have watched on this channel, how much of it do I spend talking about the characters or the intricacies of their relationships or interactions? Almost no time, because the focus of this series is not the characters, it is the science fiction. It focuses on the high concepts, not the characters. The characters take a back seat in the book. Characters are more important to TV shows, and even though the characters are changed, the important connections that the characters have. Hi guys, it's Quinn. Content, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm notices me. For those of you that are interested, my graphic novel, The Lie Behind the Star, launched on Indiegogo and is funding now. Check it out, link in the description. The Three Body Problem series is one of the best trilogies of science fiction books that I've read in recent years. But it's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. Recently, I had the pleasure of reading what is likely the most terrifying science fiction book series I've ever read. I've always enjoyed scary stories. As a kid, I read anthologies like Goosebumps or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. But I didn't know true fear until I encountered the works of Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft in my teenage years. Lovecraft's work opened up such terrifying vistas of thought that I would, while reading them, become transfixed and filled with ultimate existential dread. The cosmic terrors he wrote about in his stories struck me as somehow realer than the monsters and ghosts of Goosebumps, and that is probably because Lovecraft, in truth, being the flawed man he was expressing a very simple fear. The fear of the unknown. And what is more unknown than the blackness of space? I must admit that not since my early teenage years have I felt such poignant terror while reading as I did when first encountering the work of Lovecraft. That is, until I read The Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy. There are 3 books in this series: The Three-Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and Death's Send. There is also an additional book, not written by Cixin Liu himself, called Redemption of Time. The first book in the series, The Three-Body Problem, starts off as a mystery. As the story unfolds, it starts to feel as though we are reading the unfolding of some grand conspiracy. A conspiracy written into the fabric of the universe itself. Early on in the story, you find out that scientists around the world have been killing themselves. A note left behind by one of the late scientists, Yang Dong, ominously adds to the mysteries, saying only, "All the evidence points to a single conclusion. Physics has never existed and will never exist. I know what I'm doing is irresponsible, but I have no choice." We base so much of our own perception of what we consider to be reality on what we can observe. We look upon the universe and extrapolate from that point. But what if we will never be able to know the truth about the universe? What if the universal constants are not constant? What if the laws of physics are not laws? What if reality isn't real? Before we get any further into the video, I have to give a spoiler warning. If you have not read this series, I highly recommend you stop this video and do so. If you've read the series or just don't care about spoilers, then continue forth. Now, we won't be getting into all of the details of this series, but I will be giving context on why exactly I think it's so unnerving. Ultimately, the secret of the first book is this: we are not alone in the universe. We are not alone in the Milky Way. Just 4 light years from our own solar system lives another species. They have heard the call of Earth from the vacuum of space, and because their own world is unstable, in a constant state of varying extremes due to the 3-sun structure of their solar system, they have chosen Earth as their new home. They intend to exterminate the human race, like bugs. Though their technology is great, due to the great distance of space, it will take the aliens, named the Trisolarians, 400 years to arrive on Earth. But in the meantime, through technology involving quantum entanglement, they were able to stifle the progress of human scientific development. Scientific theories based on humanity's current understanding of physics were rendered useless. The Trisolarians had led humankind into a trap, and the trap had snapped closed, leaving humanity as a helpless victim, only capable of waiting until the predator arrived to claim its prey. Everything that humankind did was monitored in real time by the Trisolarians as their fleet made its way from their homeworld to the world of Earth. Nothing could be concealed from them save the thoughts hidden away within the individual human minds. For a while, the world struggles to adjust, attempting to find solutions. It was briefly considered that a portion of the human species might be sent off into the vacuum of space on generational ships. Escapism would have had 3 potential goals. The first option would be finding a new world among the stars where humanity could survive. This would have been the most ideal option. The next option would be a starship civilization, its citizens aboard an eternal voyage. The third option would have been for humanity to take temporary refuge among the stars. They would hope to return after Trisolaris had settled in the solar system and attempt to coexist with the aliens. But escapism could never truly happen. Not because humanity's technology couldn't potentially reach the level sufficient enough to allow it, but because human nature would prevent it from ever getting off the ground. It is simply a matter of who is allowed to leave, and who is condemned to face the wrath of the Trisolarians on Earth. No matter who got to leave, whether they be elite or poor, humankind's fundamental value system would ultimately collapse, for the idea of equality would be utterly shattered. Human rights and equality have deep roots. Inequality of survival is the worst sort of inequality. And the people and countries left behind will never just sit and wait for death while others have a way out. There will be increasingly extreme confrontation between the 2 sides until there's world chaos, and then no one goes. The United Nations, realizing this simple fact, overwhelmingly voted to ban escapism. instead choosing to focus on what they could do from Earth to thwart the Trisolarans, including the formation of a space force. Even with everything the world leaders attempted in order to maintain stability, eventually society did collapse in an apocalyptic testing event known as the Great Ravine. During the Great Ravine, the Space Force was brought to the brink of collapse. Inflation skyrocketed, credit systems unraveled. It started with the slow economic transformation that often accompanied wartime. The standard of living declined, and the political climate grew more and more intense. But instead of it just being one or a few countries, it was the entire Earth. Society was on edge, and if you said something wrong, they would say you were ETO, or a traitor to humanity. So nobody felt safe, and film and television from the Golden Age began to be restricted, and then was banned worldwide. But eventually, things got even worse. Humanity began to starve. Climate change had already been greatly accelerated. With the coming of the Trisolaran crisis, humanity grew pessimistic. Even if they saved the Earth, made it into Eden come again, it would be an Eden for the Trisolarans, not them. Only the Space Force was given thought, and its continued development only further polluted the Earth. So climate change accelerated. The environment changed. The temperature raised. Forests and plains became desert. The process of desertification had not been subtle or gradual. The green of the earth had eroded simultaneously like a damp towel left out to dry in the sun. Food production halted, for there was no grain being grown. And for the next 50 years, the planet was famished. The population of the earth decreased by 5 billion during those years, all while the Trisolaran fleet marched on steadily. One of the most intriguing things about these books, mainly the second book, The Dark Forest, is how they show the effect that the imminent Trisolaran invasion has on humanity before the aliens even arrive within the solar system. Initially, many people denied that the invasion was truly real. Once the truth became widely accepted, a sense of dread crept over all mankind. Religions had to change to make way for the existence of extraterrestrials. Humanity could no longer hide behind the comforting fantasy of our own uniqueness. We were not unique. We were one of the potentially endless civilizations out there in the dark. The scariest part of this book series, in my opinion, is also in the second book, The Dark Forest. In this book, we begin to unravel the truth about the state of life in the universe.
So the Fermi paradox, the Kardashev scale, and the Dark Forest are all kind of like intertwined ideas and concepts. The Fermi paradox, Mr. Fermi put forth and postulated that, if there's endless stars out there, and if there's endless galaxies and universes and stars, then you would have to imagine that there are endless planets. And if there are countless and endless planets, you would have to imagine that the same thing that happened on Earth must have happened somewhere else. It seems only right to assume that. If with giving all time and all matter and all space for things to happen, it seems like that this should have happened more than once. Right? So where is everybody? And that's the whole paradox right there, is if there has been countless time, energy, and space for other civilizations to emerge and become technologically advanced, then where are they? And then when you look into the Fermi paradox, you have to go through a series of great filters to actually become a technologically advanced civilization. And if you can make it through all these great filters, then you have a chance of reaching the stars. and apparently we've made it through most of the great filters. But when you add the Carter shift scale in there, we're not doing too hot right now on the Carter shift scale. But a lot, like I said, a lot of these uh concepts really overlap.
The book calls us to consider cosmic sociology. If you supposed that a vast amount of civilizations were distributed throughout the universe based on the number of detectable stars, those civilizations would make up the body of cosmic sociology. Cosmic sociology is based on two axioms. First, survival is the primary need of civilization. Second, civilization continuously grows and expands, but the total number of matter in the universe remains constant. These two axioms are all that is needed to extrapolate the ultimate horrifying truth about cosmic society. It is a secret that the Trisolarans themselves knew, and called the most important secret in the universe. It was the secret that the universe itself was a dark forest. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost, gently pushing aside branches that block the path and trying to tread without sound. Even breathing is done with care. The hunter has to be careful because everywhere in the forest are stealthy hunters like him. If he finds other life, another hunter, an angel or demon, a delicate infant or tottering old man, a fairy or demigod, there is only one thing he can do.
Snuff it out.
Open fire.
That's it.
And eliminate them. In this forest, hell is other people, an eternal threat that any life that exposes its own existence will be swiftly wiped out. This is the picture of cosmic civilization. It's the explanation for the Fermi paradox.
The Fermi paradox.
The famous Fermi paradox, of course, brings up the quandary.
I told you so. The dark forest, the Fermi paradox, and the Carter shift scale all kind of intertwine. So the dark forest is that maybe we don't see other civilizations because they all wipe each other out. But once again, you have to make it through all of the great filters of, that Fermi puts forth to even become a star or spacefaring civilization to start with. And then when you look at the Carter shift scale, is the Carter shift scale goes into energy and how much energy is needed to actually support a spacefaring civilization. And so if you're able to use all of the sunlight from your local star that reaches your planet, then I think that's something like level 1. If you can utilize the energy that reaches your planet that is produced by your local star, if you can use all of that energy, that's a level 1 Carter shift civilization. Level 2 is if you can use all the energy itself from your local star, not just what reaches your home planet, but can you actually like use your star as a power source, like a generator. And you would have to build something called a Dyson sphere. And the Dyson sphere is a structure that encompasses an entire star. It's like catching it in a Pokeball or something. And you put the star inside the Dyson sphere, and then it's like a big battery to power whatever you want to. And that's like level 2. Level 3, Carter shift civilization is being able to use all of the energy in your local star system. That's like dark matter and energy and background radiation and the power from stars. And level 4, I forgot Like level 4 is just like you're God now or some shit. So when you think about the Kardashev scale and the energy consumption, so in order to produce, spaceships or any kind of vessels large enough and have the technology and the energy to, traverse from one star system to another, even if it's four light years away, and it's only going to take you 400 years. So you're moving. It takes you 100 years to travel 1 light year, and that's not bad. So I wonder where they were at on the Kardashev scale on their home world. And so, yeah, being able to break through all the great filters, become at least a level 1 Kardashev scale civilization, and understanding the dark forest. These motherfuckers are dangerous. These are some dangerous aliens we're dealing with here, man. And the ground flew up when all the suns got in alignment. I'm getting hungry now.
Based on what we know about the universe, it should be full of life. Then where is said life? Why is the universe seemingly silent? This series provides a single terrifying answer. We don't see them because they are hiding.
Yeah, they don't want to be seen.
Like all life on Earth, life in the universe must compete to survive. It is a cruel fact about the nature of life itself. If the location of a world is revealed, it is marked in a way. A metaphorical spotlight is shown upon it, a blinking sign stating, there is intelligent life here, destroy it before it destroys you. Eventually the mark will be noticed. It is only a matter of time. It doesn't matter what motivated someone to leave the mark. What's important is that the dead hand has stretched the nerves of the dark forest to the breaking point. And it's the most sensitive nerve that's most liable to make a move. Suppose there are 1 million hunters in the forest. The number of civilizations on the billions upon billions of stars in the Milky Way could be thousands of times that. Perhaps 900,000 of them will disregard the marking. Of the remaining 100,000, maybe 99,000 of them will probe the location, and after confirming that it has no life, disregard it. But one of the remaining 10,000 hunters will surely make the choice to fire on that position. Because for civilizations at a certain level of technological development, attacking may be safer and less of a hassle than probing. If there's really nothing at that location, then there's no loss. The idea that the universe could be a dark forest strikes fear into my very core. Humans have always seemed to be fascinated with the idea of extraterrestrial life, making contact. For more than 100 years, we have blasted the sky with signals, sending pieces of our world out onto the cosmos in the form of waves, never thinking about exactly who might be listening.
Exactly.
Though
Why the
humans
fuck
have
y'all do
revealed
that?
themselves to the Trisolarans, who only wanted to colonize the Earth for themselves, there were things far worse and far more powerful than the Trisolarans. Ancient civilizations were shielded in the dark and armed with the power to rip apart dimensions. Another fascinating and also quite troubling concept Cixin-Liu forces us to consider in his books is the potential effect that life has had upon the universe itself. Without life, the Earth would be a different planet. There would be no oceans, no rivers. The entire surface of the planet would be as dry as Mars. Life is not some tiny shell clinging to the surface of the world, fragile waiting to be snuffed out in an instant. Life, with the aid of time, is powerful enough to move mountains. And without life, it is very possible that by what we now consider to be the modern era, liquid water would not exist on planet Earth. Plants, animals, and bacteria all have had important roles in the present composition of our atmosphere. Without life, the atmosphere would be very different. It's possible that such an atmosphere would not be able to shield the surface of the Earth against solar winds and ultraviolet rays, and the oceans would evaporate. Soon greenhouse effects would turn the Earth's atmosphere into a copy of Venus's, and then water vapor would be lost to space over time. After several billion years, the Earth would be dry. The Earth that we and all other life on this planet inhabit is ultimately a home constructed by life for itself. If we take this idea and apply it to the universe itself, then this thought occurs. If life has had such a drastic effect on the Earth, then what effect has life as a whole had on the universe itself? And what would the universe look like without life? If life was exceedingly rare in the universe, its impact on the evolution of the cosmos could be ignored. But if the universe was in fact teeming with life, as the famous Drake equation suggests, then a terrifying question arises. How much has the universe from its original state been altered by life? Is the nature that we experience natural at all? A terrifying revelation comes near the end of the final book in the series, Death's End. The universe had once been 10-dimensional, a state of perfection, but due to the destructive nature of life itself, those dimensions have collapsed, and the universe will continue to collapse until only a single dimension remained. Countless ancient civilizations potentially possess the capability of initiating dimension collapses in parts of the universe. It was one of the methods that hunters in the Dark Forest used to eliminate other intelligent species. The problem was that once a dimension strike occurred, it never ended. The universe itself was dying, drying up in patchwork formation as the Earth had done during the Great Ravine. The endless cosmic darkness that we saw as the universe today had been the result of the endless battles of the Dark Forest, and we as humans would never know the true beauty and perfection of the original cosmos. Aside from pure existential dread, this series has so many great science fiction ideas that I just love, such as the idea of cryogenics. The philosophy behind people being willing to freeze themselves in the present in order to wake up in the future is based on a very human but often not true assumption, that the future will somehow be better than now. Many of the characters throughout this book series experience being frozen and unthawed in a different era. I find it fascinating to read about how someone from a specific era interacts with the world and the people of a new era. This idea is also at the heart of one of my all-time favorite science fiction shows, the lighthearted animation show Futurama, whose main character, after being frozen for 1,000 years, wakes up in the year 3000 and has to deal with the fact that not only is he living in a world completely alien to him, but also everyone that he's ever known is dead. Cixin Lu's use of the concept of this helped to illustrate the idea that humans are humans even when coming from a different era. Cixin Lu throughout the series also explores the concept of the long view of history. He explores how certain events and figures throughout human history evolve in the way they are perceived by humanity. Men become gods, gods become devils, heroes become villains, and vice versa. We see this mainly with the characters Luo Ji and Shang Xin as their stories progress throughout the centuries, and also the inhabitants of the ships Blue Space and Gravity, who at certain points in history considered to be the enemies of all mankind, and at other points take on near mythic proportions in the mind of some humans, all due to the varying perspectives created by the different vantage points of time. On the whole, humanity seems to possess fleeting short-term memories, and ideas that aren't constantly reinforced instantly fade away in the midst of time. This is the reason that humanity seems to constantly repeat its old mistakes. We as a species simply forget. Some would say that Cixin Lu's trilogy is a quite pessimistic one, and I have to agree to an extent. Cixin Lu does seem to present a pretty pessimistic view of human nature as a whole, though certain individuals can sometimes come up with solutions that could potentially help, the human entity as a whole for some reason resist. It is easy to see the Trisolarian crisis in particular as a metaphor for climate change. Destruction is imminent, perhaps distant but certain, and it's likely that modern humans won't be affected nearly as much as the generations to come after. Can humankind come together to stop this crisis and ensure the survival of its future generations? One of the most interesting parts of the series is when we get to see how the various governments cooperate when it comes to dealing with the crisis in the beginning. At some point, the book mentions that there was a push for socialized technology, which would have given the human race as a whole a greatly increased chance of survival. The major world powers flat out rejected this notion because they believed it would weaken them. Not even the sure threat of alien annihilation was enough to force the world to cooperate. The US government said that no form of socialized technology was realistic, that it was a naive idea, and that under the present circumstances, US national security was a priority, second only to planetary defense. I would say that humankind as a whole is depicted as being rather selfish in this series, and many times we see how the species cannibalizes itself. Humanity is often its own greatest hindrance. The books are not all pessimism, however. The final book in the series, Death's Sin, does in fact end with certain optimistic undertones by highlighting the endurance of the human race and its spirit. Sixth Look combines philosophy, science, and pure horror to create what is honestly one of the best science fiction book series I've ever read. The series is endlessly bold and unpredictable. Even the spoilers I've mentioned in this video barely begin to get to the place where these books eventually go. The third book, Death's Sin, gets more into the idea of the interdimensionality of the universe, which is endlessly intriguing and quite trippy actually. The series feels boundless in a way that a lot of other books just don't. The questions about humanity, about the universe that are brought up in this series are questions that I've been pondering since I read it a few months ago. The books aren't scary in the traditional sense, but the ideas it explores are chilling to the bone. The Remembrance of Earth's Past is science fiction at its best, and I hope to cover more of the series and explore some of its other concepts in future videos. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hi guys, it's Quinn here. If you enjoy my videos, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. The Southern Reach is a science fiction trilogy by author Jeff Vandermeer. Some weeks ago, I released a video covering the first book in the series, Annihilation. Annihilation, which was adapted into a film in 2018, introduces to us the mystery of Area X. Though the first book excellently sets the stage for one of the most authentic cosmic horror tales since H.P. Lovecraft, the mysteries of the series really unfold in the following two books, Authority and Acceptance. Each of the books were released in 2014, just months apart from each other. Now that I've finished the entire trilogy, my recommendation is to read them as a single book, as the three together tell a complete story. These three books definitely make up one of the most mind-bending trilogies that I've read in the last few years. In this video, we will journey beyond the border into the mind-breaking corridor of Area X. What is the secret of Area X. Why is it here? What does it want? What is the otherworldly creature known as the Crawler, who etched its eerie sermon along the walls of the tunnel referred to as the Tower? What role did the Lighthouse Keeper play in all these strange events? And what are the motives of the mysterious organizations, the Seance and Science Brigade, and the Southern Reach? This series is one of the most interesting cosmic horror stories that I've read. It maintains its mystery, but provides satisfying answers to many of the primary questions, for those that look hard enough. In my opinion, this trilogy can be seen almost as a retelling of H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space. Essentially, it is a first contact story. And like The Color Out of Space, it points out that our definition of life might be quite limited. Given the vastness of the universe, who knows what strange forms may come into existence, and who can say how contact with life on Earth would affect said entities, and what effect they may have on us. For reasons that remain Hi guys, it's Quinn here. If you appreciate my content, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm notices me. For those of you that are interested, my graphic novel, The Lie Behind the Star, launched on Indiegogo, and it is funding now. Check it out, link in the description. The Three Body Problem series is one of the best trilogies of science fiction books that I've read in recent years. But in this video, we will be discussing its spin-off, Redemption of Time. Redemption of Time was written by Bao Shi and continues the storyline of the Three Body Problem universe. It mainly follows the character Tian Ming, the only character in the original series to ever make direct contact with the Trisolarans. Redemption of Time describes his time among the Trisolarans and how he was visited by a powerful entity which gave him knowledge about the nature of the universe. In this video, we will
Russian Lean helps me have more variety in my meals. I usually eat on the go, one meal after training clients, and then one meal post-workout. All of that goes in my gym bag. When I need an easy meal, protein plus meal plan, I'll just throw this in the microwave in 2 minutes. It makes my life a lot easier going to and from the gym so often.
Once, men turned their thinking over to machines in the hope that this would set them free. But that only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. Dune is the greatest sci-fi series ever written. The story of Dune spans over the course of 5,000 years in 6 novels titled Dune.
Yo, how you say that? How he get to say that? I mean, I agree with it, but damn, he just Dune is the greatest sci-fi series ever written. I mean, you know people gonna have pushback against that shit, but I'm gonna rock with you on that shit, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna rock out because I feel the same way, but You know what I'm saying? He just said it out. Like he said it like it's a fact. Like like everybody knows this, right? Like that's so wild how he said it. It's like as a matter of fact, if you look up on page 47, paragraph 2, section A, the greatest sci-fi movie ever, the greatest sci-fi story ever written, right here it says Frank Herbert's Dune. It's right there. It says it right there. In Science Fiction Guide to Humanity. You know, it says that this is the best. We don't even have to agree on it. It's a fact. A fact.
That this would set them free, but that only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. Dune is the greatest sci-fi series ever written. The story of
Yo,
Dune...
once again, I can't even get. He didn't even say arguably, or it might be considered. Even if you just said arguably, Dune is arguably the greatest sci-fi series. No. He just says it. So Matt, Dune is the greatest sci-fi series ever written.
spans over the course of 5,000 years in 6 novels titled Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune. In Dune, the all-female order of superhumans known as the Bene Gesserit have been active for thousands of years. Through selective breeding, they carefully hone their abilities. The ultimate goal of the Bene Gesserit was to produce the Kwisatz Haderach, the super being of the universe, a male Bene Gesserit with perfect sight of the future and the past. He would be able to look where they could not. And he did come, though not as they expected. The planet Arrakis, also known as Dune, is the only planet in the known universe where the spice melange is found. The spice is
the spice is actually worm excrement. I think that's how they describe it. It's something, it's something that the worms do to the fucking shit to get it right, man. It's something the worms got to do to it to mix it up, because the worm, this is the only planet where the worms at, and that's the only planet where the spice at. Like the worms and the spice go hand in hand. So I don't know if it's like worm shit. Is that what the spice is? You gotta mix it with some worm shit or something.
drug that is used throughout the Imperium for various purposes, mainly its geriatric properties. The spice is life and can more than double the human lifespan. In some special people, such as the highly trained Bene Gesserit Reverend Mothers, the spice melange can awaken prescient vision, sight of the future. The spice also heightens awareness and is used by the guild as a means for space travel, gifting them with prescience which they use to navigate. The spice melange is the gasoline of the universe. Without it, all commerce throughout the known inhabited galaxies would cease. The spice melange is also highly addictive.
And if
once addicted, one must continue to...
Yep. If you start taking that shit and you can take it without getting addicted to it. But once you learn, like, all right, this shit make me live longer. And you start taking that shit on a regular basis and you get addicted to it, and then it's like a slow poison. And if you stop taking it, you die. So you gotta have it. You got to have the spice, yo.
Taking the the spice, or else they will suffer spice withdrawals, which are always fatal.
Mm-hmm.
The spice,
fatal, son.
He said. It's in everything here. The air, the soil, the food. The geriatric spice. It's like the truth-sayer drug. It's a poison. She stiffened. His voice lowered, and he repeated, a poison so subtle, so insidious, so irreversible. It won't even kill you unless you stop taking it. We can't leave Arrakis unless we take part of Arrakis with us. Before the events of Doom, the fiefdom of Arrakis rested with the Baron Harkonnen, the sworn enemy of Duke Leto Atreides
But they
of the
cousins.
planet Caladan. But when the Emperor of the Imperium, Shaddam Corrino IV, felt threatened by the Atreides' influence and potential power, he devised a plan to rid himself of House Atreides. He used the feud between the Harkonnens and the Atreides as cover. After the fiefdom of Arrakis is handed over to House Atreides, which includes Leto, his concubine, the Bene Gesserit Lady Jessica, and their son Paul Atreides, as well as the servants and teachers employed by them, the Harkonnens, with the help of the Emperor's Sardaukar soldiers, stage a coup in which Paul and Jessica must escape into the deep desert, and Leto is captured, presumably to be killed. Paul and his mother Jessica must then use their Bene Gesserit training and secret knowledge to survive in the harshest conditions possible. And along the way, they gain the support of the Fremen people of the desert. As I said before, the Lady Jessica is a Bene Gesserit.
That bitch
She
like a
was trained
ninja.
by the Reverend
Yeah.
Mother Gaius Helen Mohim. When the Bene Gesserit order realized that Duke Leto of Caladan required a concubine, they used their considerable influence to make sure the Lady Jessica was chosen. The Atreides bloodline contained genes that were highly important to the sisterhood. Jessica's orders were to bear only daughters to the Duke Leto. Jessica broke this order. Instead, she bore a son and trained him in the Bene Gesserit way, whilst at the same time his father, the Duke, was having him trained as a Mentat. The Mentat are the human computers of the Imperium, capable of incredible feats of calculation in milliseconds. Paul was already the result of millennia of selective breeding at the hand of the Bene Gesserit. This, coupled with his training, he was something more than a Bene Gesserit. Much more. By mistake, a generation too soon, the Bene Gesserit have birthed the Kwisatz Haderach, the universe's super being, he who could be in many places at once, he with perfect vision. But there was still uncertainty. To unlock his full potential, Paul would need to be tested by the Truth-Sayer drug. There is a place where no Truth-Sayer can see. We are repelled by it, terrorized. It is said a man will come one day and find in the gift of the drug his inward eye. He will look where we cannot, into both feminine and masculine past. Your Kwisatz Haderach? Yes, the one who can be in many places at once. The Kwisatz Haderach. Many men have tried the drug, so many, but none has succeeded. They tried and failed? All of them? Oh no, she shook her head. They tried and died. Deep in the desert, as Paul ingests more of the spice than he has ever had, his initial powers awaken. He knows that one day the Fremen people of the desert will look to him as a god. Paul sees a jihad in his name spreading throughout the galaxy like a raging fire, plaguing every inhabited world. The religion of Muad'Dib would spread, leaving millions dead in its wake. Paul knew that he was powerless to stop it. The inevitability of the jihad haunts Paul throughout the series. Paul and Jessica would have never survived in the desert and gone on to liberate the Fremen people and gain vengeance for House Atreides, unseating the Emperor of the Imperium, if not for the planning of the Bene Gesserit Order. The Missionara Protectiva, also called the Bene Gesserit's black arm of superstition, is a special kind of religious engineering created by the Bene Gesserit to sow seeds of superstition in primitive cultures throughout the galaxies. The Missionara Protectiva was used by the Sisterhood Undoomed centuries before House Atreides gained the fiefdom. They sowed legends telling that the son of a Bene Gesserit woman would lead the Fremen people to true freedom. So when Paul and Jessica arrived, they fit the legends exactly. They were viewed as legendary figures. The Fremen people named Paul Lisan al-Gaib, the voice from the outer world. He would fulfill their ancient prophecy. The Fremen people never knew just how much their myths and legends were influenced by the workings of the Sisterhood. In the end, Paul Atreides would rise to Emperor of the known Imperium, marrying the Princess Irulan Corrino, daughter of the Emperor Shaddam IV. Jessica, now a Reverend Mother, chose to return to Caladan, leaving Aaliyah, the child of Duke Leto who was born in the deep desert, behind. Aaliyah was preborn, breaking into consciousness with all the memories of her ancestors due to her mother's consumption of the Truthsayer drug. To the Bene Gesserit, such a child is an abomination. Aaliyah, in many ways, was more unexpected than even Paul himself. Born of the same genetic lines, Aaliyah was supposed to be Jessica's first child, unremarkable but for the precious genes she carried. But the Sisterhood never intended for Jessica to be on Arrakis, much less undergo the spice agony while pregnant. The result was a child that could strike fear into the hearts of even the Reverend Mothers of the Bene Gesserit. "That child is an abomination," the old woman said. "Her mother deserves a punishment greater than any in history. Death, it cannot come too quickly for that child or the one who spawned her." The old woman pointed a finger at Aaliyah. "Get out of my mind!" "TP?" the Emperor whispered. He snapped his attention back to Aaliyah. "By the Great Mother, you don't understand." "Majesty," the old woman said, "not telepathy. She is in my mind. She is like the ones before me, the ones who gave me their memories. She stands in my mind. She cannot be there, but she is." "What others?" the Emperor demanded. "What is this nonsense?" The old woman straightened, lowered her pointing hand. "I have said too much, but the fact remains that this child who is not a child must be destroyed. Long were we warned against such a one and how to prevent such a birth, but one of our own has betrayed us." Though Paul married Irulan, his concubine Chani, a Fremen woman, was his true love. She bears Paul 2 children, Leto II, named for Paul and Aaliyah's father, and Ganima, whose name meant spoil of war. Leto II would go further than even Paul would, and his influence would echo to the edges of time itself. The spice melange is produced by the great sandworms of Arrakis. If they should die, then all spice production would cease. The sandworms are monstrous beings that roam in the deep desert. They attack all rhythmic motions, such as footsteps or the rumbling of spice harvesters. "The worm is now beneath the crawler," Kyne said. "You are about to witness a thing few have seen." Flecks of dust shadowed the sand around the crawler now. The big machine began to tip down to the right. A gigantic sand whirlpool began forming there to the right of the crawler. It moved faster and faster. Sand and dust filled the air now for hundreds of meters around. Then they saw it. A wide hole emerged from the sand. Sunlight flashed from glistening white spokes within it. The hole's diameter was at least twice the length of the crawler, Paul estimated. He watched as the machine slid into that opening in a billow of dust and sand. The hole pulled back. "Gods, what a monster," muttered a man beside Paul. In the book Children of Doom, Leto II joins with the sand trout, the protoform of the sandworms, transcending his own humanity. Over the course of 3,500 years, Leto morphs into the God Emperor, the closest thing to a deity that mankind has ever seen. Through the Golden Path, Leto leads humanity to its salvation, preventing Kralizek, the mythic battle at the end of time that both he and his father foresaw. Leto transformed Arrakis. The great worms died, stopping spice production. Space travel was prohibited without the permission of the God Emperor. The Imperium was at peace. All spice was rationed by Leto himself. Leto ruled the universe with a firmer grasp than anyone before him. His powers of prescience far outshine those of his father. His genetic memory allowed him to reach back and see through the eyes of his ancestors. Billions of lives lived in him at all times. With an iron fist, Leto the Tyrant would teach humanity a lesson on stagnation. When I set out to lead humankind along my golden path, I promised them a lesson that their bones would remember. I know a profound pattern which humans deny with their words even while their actions affirm it. They say they seek security and quiet, the condition they call peace. Even as they speak, they create the seeds of turmoil and violence. If they find their quiet security, they squirm in it. How boring they find it. Look at them now. Look at what they do while I record these words. Ha! I give them enduring eons of enforced tranquility, which plods on and on despite their every effort to escape into chaos. Believe me, the memory of Leto's peace shall abide with them forever. They will seek their quiet security thereafter, only with extreme caution and steadfast preparation. When the tyranny of the worm god Emperor Leto finally ended, there was a great scattering. Under the rule of the god Emperor, the people of the Imperium lived peacefully, but not happily. Leto had exposed a deep anxiety that existed within all of humankind, a kind of restlessness, deep-rooted within a collected human consciousness. When they were finally allowed to travel throughout the universe freely, humanity spread well beyond the reaches of the Imperium, into the vastness of space, ensuring the survival and the diversity of the species. But Leto had done something else to humanity. He had taken over the Bene Gesserit breeding program, but used it for a different purpose. After generations of trying, Leto created Siona. Only she was blocked from his vision. Leto introduced a no gene into humanity, and following the famine times preceding Leto's death, this gene was spread out through the reaches of space, ensuring that never again could all of humanity be seen by prescience. Leto foresaw an enemy, the great enemy, threatening all of humanity, something that would use prescience to seek out and destroy all of humanity. By breeding this no gene, Leto saved humanity from this threat. At his death, Leto II went back into Arrakis, the individual sand trout of his skin separating and returning to the sands. The new worms that would form from them would each have a piece of the God Emperor inside. They would be more intelligent, and more terrible than the worms of ancient Arrakis. The events of the last two novels in Frank Herbert's original Dune saga take place 1,500 years after the death of the God Emperor. At this point, the planet Arrakis, which had been terraformed by the God Emperor, has returned to desert. The great sandworms have returned and brought with them a new flow of the spice melange. A new civilization has arisen during the chaos of the famine times and the great scattering. A civilization containing three dominant powers: the Ixians, whose no ships are capable of piloting between the stars without the use of spice melange; the Bene Talax, who've learned to manufacture spice in their axolotl tanks and have created a new breed of shape-shifting face dancers; and of course, the ever-evolving Bene Gesserit Sisterhood. And it is also at this time, a millennia and a half after the death of Leto II, that some from the scattering began to return. Among them are the honored Matres, a violent matriarchal order of women bred and trained for combat and the sexual control of men. They seek to control the old empire with violent force and gain Bene Gesserit knowledge lost to them. The military and sexual skills possessed by the honored Matres seem to indicate that they are the result of a combination of the fish speakers, who were the female servants of Leto II, and the Bene Gesserit, who fled out into the scattering 1,500 years earlier. An honored Matre of the scattering demanded his presence, a Pawenda of Pawendas. Descendants of Tlaxu from the scattering had told him all they could about these terrible women. Far more terrible than the reverend mothers of the Bene Gesserit, they said, and more numerous, Waff reminded himself. The honored Matres make several attacks on the Bene Gesserit strongholds throughout the bounds of the old empire. Eventually, the honored Matres destroy the planet Arrakis itself, killing every sandworm in existence, except for the one the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood escapes with. In the wake of the destruction left by the honored Matres, the Bene Gesserit, now led by Darwi O'Drade, a descendant of Paul Atreides, continues to develop her plan to defeat the Matres. The Bene Gesserit have shielded their secret planet behind a wall of no ships, which are invisible to long-range detection and immune to the powers of prescience. It is here that they begin to breed the sandworms. By drowning the worm they saved from Arrakis in a mixture of spice and water, they force the creature back into its proto-form. It becomes mini sand trout, and so the cycle begins. The Sisterhood terraforms the planet Chapter House to accommodate the great worms. Ahead of this breeding program is Shilana, a girl born on Arrakis who discovered she had the ability to control the desert worms. At this point, the entire Tlaxu civilization has been destroyed by the Matres. The only remaining survivor is Skytail, who offers up secret Tlaxu knowledge to the Bene Gesserit in exchange for protection from the Matres. The Bene Gesserit, for the first time, now have the Tlaxu secret of Gola production, which they use to produce a Gola of O'Drade's father, the Atreides genius military leader who was killed a book earlier, Miles Tegg. A Gola is a kind of clone. On Chapter House, the Bene Gesserit also house two prisoners, a Duncan Idaho Gola, produced by the Tlaxu. This Gola has the memories of all previous Duncan Idaho Golas, knowledge stretching back since the time of Leto I and Murbella, a former honored Matre, who the Bene Gesserit have taken as a novice. This Duncan Idaho Gola also has a kind of prescient vision. In it, he glimpses an older man and woman staring back at him. He is confused by the vision, but says nothing. It is revealed in the final novel that the honored Matres were fleeing an unknown enemy out of the scattering. The enemy was powerful and had conquered the honored Matres' own massive empire. It is unclear whether or not this enemy is the great enemy that Leto foresaw. In the end, Odrade stages an attack on the honored Matres, aggressively striking the planet Gamu. Victory seems near for the Sisterhood, until the honored Matre release a mysterious weapon. Odrade realizes the trap too late and is captured. In one final, desperate gamble, Murbella, the former Matre, who has shared memories with Odrade, pilots a small craft down to the surface of Gamu, announcing herself as an honored Matre, who in the confusion has managed to escape the Bene Gesserit with all their secrets. But when she came face to face with the great honored Matre, she used the Bene Gesserit power of voice to provoke her. Your fluency and lies does not hide them, Murbella said. She swept a scornful gaze across the ones behind Logno. Like the ones I know in other memory, you are headed inevitable, but oh, the boredom. Meanwhile, you dare call yourself great honored Matre, returning her attention to Logno. Everything about you is a cesspool. You have no style. It was too much. Logno attacked, left foot slashing outward with blinding speed. Murbella grasped the foot, as she would catch a wind-blown leaf, and continuing the flow of it, levered Logno onto a threshing club that ended with her head pulped on the floor. Without pausing, Murbella pirouetted, left foot almost decapitating the honored Matre who had stood at Logno's right, the right hand crushing the throat of the one who had stood at Logno's left. It was all over in 2 heartbeats. Murbella kills the honored Matre leader Logno, and awed by her physical prowess, the remaining Matres are forced to accept her as their leader. Murbella again shares memories with the dying Odrade, becoming the Mother Superior of the Bene Gesserit as well, joining the 2 groups of women. But some Bene Gesserit do not accept Murbella's ascension. Shiana, who also shared memories with Odrade before leaving Chapter House, escapes into a notion where she has brought some of the new worms which emerged from the Chapter House desert. She, along with Duncan Idaho, Saitel, and Miles Tegg. Murbella realizes their plans too late and is unable to intervene. In the final chapter of the Dune series, it is revealed that the man and woman glimpsed in prescience by Duncan Idaho are named Daniel and Marty. The 2 refer to themselves as face dancers, who for thousands of years had been the shape-shifting minions of the Tleilaxu, capable of absorbing memories and taking the form of other people. They have had such a hard time accepting that face dancers can be independent of them. I don't see why. It's a natural consequence. They gave us the power to absorb the memories and experiences of other people, gather enough of those, and it's personas we take, Marty. Whatever. The Master should have known we would gather enough of them one day to make our own decisions about our future. The 2 hint that they observe and are familiar with various groups in the universe, and for some reason are very interested in capturing and studying the passengers of Duncan's no ship. The role or purpose of these 2 was never revealed in Frank Herbert's original 6 Dune novels. Their technology seems to be almost godlike. Duncan too recognizes them as face dancers and understands that the 2 belong to no one but themselves. The final novel in Frank Herbert's Dune series ends on a cliffhanger, for Herbert did not live to complete the 7th novel planned for the series. Several questions are left unanswered. What becomes of the merging of the Honored Matres and the Bene Gesserit? What are the fates of those escaping on the No Ship? Who are these godlike characters in Chapter House's final chapter? And of course, what exactly chased the Honored Matres back into the old Empire in the first place? These are merely the events of the Dune Saga. Dune is a humanist book series that is highly concerned with the cycles of governmental systems. Dune shows how the masses can be manipulated through religion and social engineering. Dune explores the damage that can be caused by the joining of government and religious faith. Most of all, Dune exposes the cycles of humanity and the constant structure of giving and taking that is present throughout the universe. In this 7-part series, I will explore all 6 of Frank Herbert's novels in order, deeply delving into the themes and the underlying meanings and guiding you through the most intelligent and well-thought-out sci-fi series ever written. To learn more about the Dune Saga, check out this video on the Bene Gesserit, the matriarchs who secretly rule the galaxy. Why Lovecraft? Why is there so much of Lovecraft in particular? Well, Lovecraft was all about those higher mysteries. His story is just kind of hidden.
With Cascade Platinum Plus, I have upped my dish game.
See, in that dishwasher.
Watch me.
Platinum Plus gives you the highest standard of clean, even in your mission.
Clean enough for you?
Yeah.
Scrape, load, done. Cascade Platinum Plus.
A beginning is the time for taking the most delicate care that the balances are correct. This every sister of the Bene Gesserit knows. To begin your study of the life of Muad'Dib, then take care that you first place him in his time, born in the 57th year of the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV, and take the most special care that you locate Muad'Dib in his place, the planet Arrakis. Do not be deceived by the fact that he was born on Caladan and lived his first 15 years there. Arrakis, the planet known as Dune, is forever his place. Years before the start of Dune, mankind led a crusade, violently expunging all thinking machines from the Imperium. It was called the Butlerian Jihad, and its chief commandment still remains within their OC Bible. Thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a human mind. The target of the Jihad was a machine attitude as much as the machines, Leto said. Humans had set those machines up to usurp our sense of beauty, our necessary selfdom, out of which we make living judgments. Naturally, the machines were destroyed. The punishment thereafter for owning or developing artificial intelligence was immediate death. The fall of thinking machines would mean that humankind would have to depend on itself for all its computing needs. And this is where Mentats come into play. Mentats are the human computers of the Imperium. Their mental abilities are ultimately honed to the point where they have become superior to even the ancient thinking machines. Most of the great houses employ a Mentat, for they possess exceptional cognitive abilities of memory and perception that are the foundations for supralogical hypothesizing. Also, Mentat abilities can be greatly increased by the taking of sappho juice, the substance extracted from the roots found on the planet Ekasi. But the consumption of this chemical leads to addiction. The Mentat were not the only replacement for thinking machines that developed during the turmoil following the Butlerian Jihad. The Bene Gesserit Sisterhood also came to prominence during this time, as well as the Spacing Guild, whose prescient powers granted by the Spice Melange make safe and instantaneous space travel throughout the universe possible. The Galactic Feudal Empire, which would arise after the Butlerian Jihad, would last for many thousands of years until the rise of the God Emperor. At the start of Doom, the human race has scattered throughout the galaxy and populated many planets, each ruled by aristocratic houses who each owe their loyalty to the Imperial House Carino. Emperor Shaddam Carino IV now sits the Imperial throne. In this time, the Lancerad was the group that represented all the great houses throughout the galaxy. Within the Lancerad, the High Council ruled and was overseen by the Emperor. At the start of Doom, the Emperor has grown to fear House Atreides. The Duke Leto Atreides had become more and more popular within the Lancerad, and it was said that the talent of Leto's own fighting force was beginning to rival the Emperor's own dreaded Imperial Sardaukar soldiers. The Emperor Shaddam Carino IV decided that he must do away with House Atreides. The feud between the Atreides and the Harkonnens had been going on for centuries. The Emperor would use this to his advantage. The planet Arrakis was currently lorded over by the genius and despicable Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. With the help of the Baron, the Emperor created a plan designed to trap and eliminate House Atreides. The fiefdom of the desert planet Arrakis, the source of the Spice Melange, had been given over to the Duke Leto Atreides. But the gift was poisoned, and House Atreides expected as much. The Duke Leto Atreides lived the majority of his life on the paradise world of Caladan. In the 20 years prior to the start of Doom, he had ruled over the planet with his concubine, the Bene Gesserit Lady Jessica, by his side. Jessica was the result of the Bene Gesserit breeding program. The Sisterhood had intended to breed her with the Duke Leto and produce a daughter who could then breed with a Harkonnen son. This union, they believed, would produce their Kwisatz Haderach. The Lady Jessica was provided with the most advanced Bene Gesserit training available and carried the fate of the Sisterhood within her genes. But she betrayed them. Her love for Leto eventually grew so strong that Jessica disobeyed her orders to have only daughters and produced a son, their first child, Paul Atreides. In doing this, Jessica not only disobeyed direct orders from the Sisterhood, she betrayed a general understanding held within the Sisterhood. The Bene Gesserit are beyond love. Love had nothing to do with it. Reverend Mothers did not act from such mundane motives. Love clouded reason. It diverted the sisters from their duties. Love could be tolerated only where it caused no immediate and obvious disruptions, or where it served the larger purposes of the Bene Gesserit. Otherwise, it was to be avoided. Always, though, it remained an object of disquieting watchfulness. A life without love can be devoted more intensely to the Sisterhood. Love, damnable love, weakening love. Love leads to misery. The Sisterhood had planned to breed Jessica's daughter with a Harkonnen son, uniting the two houses and producing their long-awaited Kwisatz Haderach. But now they would have to adapt their plans. The son, Paul, was raised on Caladan and trained in the Bene Gesserit way. When the sisterhood realized what Jessica had done, they were furious. But the Bene Gesserit adapt, and the boy was either the Kwisatz Haderach or he was not. Accompanying House Atreides to Arrakis were several servants and teachers, notably Duncan Idaho, Swordsmaster, Gurney Halleck, War Master, Thufir Hawat, Mintak, and Master of Assassins, and Willington Yui, Soup Doctor. The Soup Inter-School is devoted to finding cures for the many ailments that afflict mankind. In the Dune universe, they are widely considered to be superior to all other medical groups. Dr. Willington Yui graduated from the Soup School in 10,112 AG. Through imperial conditioning, the school renders its students incapable of inflicting harm. Once on Arrakis, House Atreides takes up residence at the home previously occupied by House Harkonnen. It is full of traps, and although Mintak Thufir Hawat locates and disarms most of them, a hunter-seeker attacks Paul in his room and nearly kills him. Paul slipped out of bed, headed for the bookcase door that opened into the closet. He stopped at the sound behind him, turned. The carved headboard of the bed was folding down onto the spot where he had been sleeping. Paul froze, and immobility saved his life. From behind the headboard slipped a tiny hunter-seeker, no more than 5 centimeters long. Paul recognized it at once, a common assassination weapon that every child of royal blood learned about at an early age. It was a ravening sliver of metal, guided by some nearby hand and eye. It could burrow into moving flesh and chew its way up nerve channels to the nearest vital organ. Paul knows that if he calls for help, the device will kill whoever opens the door. He manages to survive the situation by utilizing his unique skill set and ultimately destroying the device. In doing so, Paul also saves the life of Fremen housekeeper, the Shadout Mapes. As thanks, she gives Paul a valuable piece of information. There is a traitor in their midst, though she cannot say who. Duke Leto is furious over the attempt on his 15-year-old son's life. Paul tells his father of the traitor in their midst, and Leto admits to discussing the possibility several times before with Atreides Mintak Thufir Hawat. When speaking with Thufir later, Leto receives another piece of information. A scrap of a letter bearing the Baron Harkonnen's own seal has been discovered, and it seems to identify the traitor. It says, "Ato will never suspect, and when the blow falls on him from a beloved hand, its source alone should be enough to destroy him." The note was under the Baron's own seal, and I've authenticated the seal. "Your suspicion is obvious," the Duke said, and his voice was suddenly cold. "I'd sooner cut off my arms than hurt you,"
2 hours?
Howard said. "My lord, what if—" "The Lady Jessica," Leto said, and he felt the anger consuming him.
Hey, Rob, what up? 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 No, I thought I had watched that Joe Rogan thing already. I watched like a 15-minute clip of that somewhere. This right here? Yeah. I didn't watch the whole episode right here, but I watched they did a 15-minute clip of that episode. I already checked that out. It visually says it's suffering. Zaya, what up? What up? Yeah, they said they were up on AI security like a year before ChatGPT even came out. So today we worked on some of the skin tones, and now we're back on the fabric. You can kind of see a big difference in the this first detail layer here, and the newer layer has more of a bluish hue to it. But the fabrics are starting to look nice now. I like it. So we did about 5 hours earlier today. About 5 hours, 10 minutes, and then we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes here. So I did about 7.5 hours in the studio today. I think that's pretty dang good. 7.5 hours. I got all the brushes cleaned up. Yeah, I think I can reward myself with some junk food and video games. I haven't played video games all day today. I've tried to be diligent and get grown folk shit done. Alright, so we're gonna drop this back down. So when we come back, we'll just start here on the fabric and then work our way down and just kind of meet those two right there. I can probably finish that tomorrow morning. And then we'll take it from there. Yeah, tomorrow too, I want to do more Midjourney stuff. I need to get back on some AI prompts so I can have some images for my next set of paintings. Let's turn this stuff off so we can get up out of here. I might watch that whole episode too about AI stuff. And Joe Rogan. Right now, we about to mosey on downstairs. I might stream some video game content. So if you see me go live again, make sure you click on it. If not, I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.